Okay, some time has passed and I have received the right and left. Let me see here. This is left and right. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Obviously not Suzuki brand. These are K&S. Saved quite a bit of money. Here, if you're curious where I got these, you're going to focus. Thank you. And $18–19 per set. Not too bad compared with $70 to $75 each from Suzuki. So get these new points, contact points mounted on here. Need a JIS screwdriver, and how are we connected? Careful not to lose the washers here. Okay, these are a 5.5 millimeter nut and bolt, which I surprised myself by having one of these. There's spring tension on here, so I'm trying to see if I can wiggle these under the nut. Need this guy under there. A little tricky. What I'm trying to avoid doing is taking the nut completely off of this small bolt that runs through here, because if I do, the tension of this spring is going to make putting it all back together difficult. But at the same time, I need to have room. Yep, and there it came off. Well, I guess now that it's off, big fat fingers and little tiny parts. Okay. Now, before I tighten that up, how will this be oriented? This way. Okay. That's one. Get the screws in there. Okay, so I'm going to leave these two snug but somewhat loose, and then loosen these top ones, because these points are going to need adjusting, and you want it not, you don't want the backing plate to move. I mean, we do eventually, but for right now I just want to be able to move the points here on the plate. And then I just want to make sure that these electrical contacts are not touching the backing plate. That's important, because they'll ground out if they are. All right, we're wired up, and we are not grounding out. Back to adjustment. Okay, 1 and 4, where are you? That's 2 and 3. All right, so right now my points on 1 and 4 are in the closed setting, and I'm going to try to adjust those. Now they won't close at all. Why is that? There they almost come together. Okay, so numbers 1 and 4, here's what I have figured out, is that when I rotate the crankshaft so that the lobe has the 1 and 4 point contact point in the most closed position, and bear in mind we want it actually closed. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. So as I rotate this around, and that contact point right here is coming together, there is my most closed position, and I still got a gap there, pretty significant one. I mean, it's like 4 millimeter. Sorry, 0.4 millimeter, 4/10. So, you know, that's got to come to a complete close. And that is clearly a difference between OEM point set and this made in China K&S point set. But am I worried? No. Because while I have this adjusted as far as it possibly can go, you know, this way to narrow the gap. Let me loosen this. So while I have this, you know, I can go wider, but I can't go any tighter. What I can do is make adjustments by modifying this backing plate, or I can modify the amount of, you know, push off from the lobe, the cam lobe that we have. I'm going to start by not modifying this, because as that wears, this will close more, and you know, I want to get the longest amount of time out of a contact point as I can. And then as that wears, I can also adjust this way, but for right now I want more adjustment this way. So what I'm going to do is take more material out of this side of the backing plate on this point, and do the same down below so that the whole thing can rotate. And I'll just do that with my Dremel. Hey guys, I just want to interject these comments here. On YouTube, a viewer named Blue Haze Boy states, pattern parts are available, but try to stay away from anything made in China. Quality is just rubbish. Suzuki prices are staggeringly expensive. Best pattern parts are Daiichi. And so thank you, Blue Haze Boy, for the insights. Clearly, after having worked with these Chinese ones for a while, there is some, you know, you say rubbish, I say needs a lot of modification, might be the same thing. I did look at the Daiichi online here for a bit. I found them. Lowest price I found was $50, and that is for the Nippon Denso set, not this Kokusan ignition set that I have. And so what I have not found is any, and you know, maybe somebody can look harder than I have not found any not made in China other than OEM for the Kokusan ignition set. So just wanted to interject that here. So for now, it looks like for me and any of you guys with the Kokusan, unless somebody can be a better researcher than me, you can't find anything not made in China other than Suzuki OEM. Okay, now I've got the gap closing, and I just want to show you what I did. It took a while, so I did it off camera, but I used the Dremel and removed more of the metal plate here and here, so that this thing, you know, would rotate more this way when the screws are in. And I frankly could go even just a little further there. There's still plenty of metal in this plate. And don't worry about centering and all of that, because on the back side there is a pin that goes into that hole. As long as that pin, you know, there's no modification to that, the focal point of your lever essentially will stay the same, and you're just rotating around that. And I just needed more rotation, so you know, slight modification of a cheap part gets the job done, I think. Be creative. So now my gap closes completely. Yeah. Let me snug this up. And now when I open my gap, am I more than, you know, what we want is like no more than 0.4 millimeter. Well, I'm quite a bit more than that. So what I need to do is I could remove a little bit more backing plate, but not much. And I can remove some of the lever as it contacts the lobe. And eventually I will get to a point where I'm at my minimum setting, and then as these wear, I can rotate the whole thing this way and bring them closer together. Okay, again, more grinding off camera. Now what I've done is my gap is still too large in the open position, and I've ground away so much material that, you know, I'm butting up against the this tab here on the backing plate, so I can't really go any further that way. So now I've done as much as I'm going to do with the backing plate. Now I need to remove material from the lever that contacts the lobe. Getting there. Okay, quite a bit of grinding, and we want to be 0.3 to 0.4 millimeter. I'm just going to split the difference and go 0.35. There, that's snug. And then while that's in there, I'm going to tighten these up. So just to review what I did there, I removed material from 3 places to create the gap that I need. I removed it from the metal backing plate here, you know, so it could so that this screw could be further that direction, not that it is, and here, and then took some off of the lever that rides on the lobe. It's a rocker, I guess. Rockers are levers. So, there we go. Now, when I rotate, we should close very well. Yeah, that's a nice contact. All right, now let's work on number 2 and 3. Actually, before I move on, let me rotate this back around, open the gap, and check it again. Yeah, 0.35. Should be good. So, as I come around, now number 2 and 3 is closed. Let me just confirm that by loosening these screws. Funny that 2 and 3 fits, but 1 and 4 would not. Yeah, that's definitely closed. And rotate it around to open it. There's the maximum. What can I get? Can I get the 0.35 in there? Oh yeah, too easily. So let's go ahead, loosen our adjustment. Put our 0.35 in there, and then close that gap a little. Well, that too does not want to close enough. Am I at least at 0.4? Yeah, I'm there. Well, that's still loose in there. So I need more adjustment on 2 and 3 also. I'm going to do the same thing, starting with the backing plate prior to grinding on the rocker lever. Okay, let's see if that was enough. Yeah, too open. More material has to come off. Now I've removed enough material to where I can get a 0.35 in there. And then snug this down. Still loose. Okay, nice gap. Rotate once, closes well and firmly. The other side is open again, and that is still a nice 3.5, 0.35, excuse me. And back on 2 and 3 we're open. 0.35, maybe just a little bit larger. 0.38, 0.4. Something snugged up there a little. 0.4, and now 0.4 is snug. I'm gonna go with that. Snug these screws up. But don't strip them. Okay, gap is set. Now let's do our timing. You know, first I got a lot of dust in here. I want to spray that out. I'm going to use electrical contact cleaner, but I'm going to get this greasy little foam pad out of here first, because I want to keep the grease on that, because you want your cam lobe clean and you want your contacts clean. The contacts are mainly what I'm going to clean here. Alright. And then I can put, I put some grease on this thing, so it's a bit of a mess. But that can just be pinched back in there. And you just want to put it in so that it's contacting the lobe and greasing it up. Okay, so back to having our timing light up here where we can see it. Can you see it? Yes, you can. Here, there, that's even better. And the red in this case is going to be ground. That's the rear end of the timing light, so I'll just ground that anywhere. That should be good. And then where is the other lead? So the other side of this, we need to go to our contact point. And then we want to set our timing mark to F for 1 and 4. Now, gap is set, time to loosen the 3 total backing plate bolts so we can rotate here. And let's get some ignition. Light comes on, good to know that's working. And we want to rotate the backing plate just to the point where the light comes on. Oh, right there. And we tighten it up. That's a little... See, things move a little bit when you snug it down. Finicky. Too much. There we go. So I'm just on at the fire mark for 1 and 4, mind you. Now we're going to rotate around. We're going to rotate around to the fire mark for 2 and 3. And now we don't move the whole backing plate, we only move the backing plate behind the 2 and 3 point set, so that's these 2 screws right here. Moving these will not adjust our point gap. That's set with these 2. This will just adjust the timing when that fires. It's pretty loose, but it's kind of stuck. There we go. And we want the light on, but we also want to maintain ground. It's really loose. Ah, rookie move. I don't have this over here. Ta-da. Let's try that again. All right, now back to 1 and 4, and we're going to test that things stay in time as we rotate the crankshaft. Okay, I've oriented this now so that you can see both the timing mark in there and the light. You won't be able to see me turn the crank, but that's okay. And so right now we are on the firing timing mark for 2 and 3. But I'm wired up to 1 and 4. That's what I'm checking. So as I come around to the 1 and 4, when I hit the advance mark, it should not light. It is not. And now as I come along to fire, the light should come on. It does. That's good. Then switching over to 2 and 3, the light should come on right as we hit fire, but not at the advance mark. So there's advance for 2 and 3, and here comes fire. Bam. Well, now we're a little ahead. I don't know. Let me see that again. Just slightly ahead. I may tweak this just a bit. Okay, I did an adjustment again. Here we come on 2 and 3. There's our advance. That's better. Right on the money. So that was an interesting journey. We have new points installed. We have them closing when they're supposed to close. We have them opening to the right gap when they're supposed to open. And we have them firing the coils at the right moment. And so that's it for now. Once we get the engine running, we will want to use a timing light and look into that hole there again and make sure that when we run the RPMs on the engine up to 2500 or more, that our timing then shifts to firing on the advance mark. And so I'll do a video on that when we get there. Man, what is left? Put the fuel petcock on and button up the tank so that's ready to hold fuel. And really been putting off putting fuel in that thing because the fuel in California, you can't get ethanol-free gasoline in California. Like, you cannot get it. You can buy racing fuel at crazy prices, and I gotta drive a long way to get it. So I'm just not gonna put gas in this thing until I'm ready to ride it regularly and make sure I'm moving the gas through before it goes bad. And what else? The license plate has got to be mounted, and that will be a project. So I think that's it, guys. And then, you know, the little nickel and dime stuff. And again, leave a comment on how you think I should do that first start video, if that should be live or if I should do, you know, an edited, put together video on that. Either way, I promise I am going to do a completely cold start. I'm not going to run it off camera, make sure I got everything working, and then you know, try to start it again for you guys. I want you to be there for the absolute first start, just like I am. And you know, you guys have been along for the ride here too. And that moment should be fun. I'm kind of leaning toward live. The only thing is that then could be very disappointing if it doesn't turn out that it starts on that live broadcast. So I don't know what to do there. Give me some thoughts. Timing's done. One more thought. You know, this turned out to be much more of a project with these aftermarket, you know, non-OEM points than I thought it was going to be. And that's that time when a guy gets real frustrated. Be patient and just take a step back and say, okay, well, what can I control here? And I can control the gap around those screws with grinding away material, and I can use my head and think about how the gap is created and how it's closed, and you know, affect a change here so that it works. And so it's just a life lesson, patience. Hey, if you like what I'm doing here, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to become an urban monk, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.